როგორ აისახება საქართველოს საპარლამენტო არჩევნები ქართულ რუსულ ურთიერთობებზე და ასევე კავკასიის რეგიონზე. ჩვენ ახლა გავესაუბრებით ინგლისელ მწერალ Oliver Bulloughs, რომელიც ასევე ექსპერტია კავკასიის საკითხებში. Hello Oliver.
Hello.
Were you following the elections in Georgia and what do you think the outcome might mean in terms of Georgian-Abkhazian relations?
Well, of course I'm following them. It's absolutely extraordinary. I'm just sorry I'm not in Tbilisi. I'm finishing off a second book at the moment, so I've been stuck in London and I'm feeling rather frustrated. I mean, in terms of relations with Abkhazia, I think that it is certainly significant that Saakashvili will no longer be in control. I think there's a lot of resentment towards him in Abkhazia because of what they perceive as what happened in 2008 with the war. They think that he is responsible for having started that. So there's a lot of distrust for him, and also some of the rhetoric he's used against Abkhazia has caused a lot of resentment. So I think the fact that he is moving on will perhaps give an impulse towards some kind of resolution of this conflict. But I do think that it's important not to be too optimistic. I think it's difficult to know what the new government would be able to offer Abkhazia that Abkhazia might want. The Abkhazian government is, I suppose, more hopeful than the situation we have at the moment, but it's also still a very, very long way to go.
And how do you think the relationship with Russia will change after these elections? And what will be Russia's reaction about this change of government, peaceful change of government?
Well, to be honest, there's two halves to this question. Partly, I think the same goes for Russia as goes for Abkhazia, that there's an awful lot of personal dislike for Saakashvili in Russia. They feel that he has sort of deliberately provoked Russia several times. And so the fact that there's a new government, particularly a new government led by a man with so many contacts in Russia, will be probably good for bilateral relations. But also, I mean, it's worth bearing in mind that the same essential questions remain between the problems in the Georgian-Russian relations, and not just down to Saakashvili's personality. I mean, that's only a very small part of it. The problems are that the government in Georgia has for a long time been moving towards Western integration and towards membership of NATO and European institutions, and that isn't something that Russia is going to like, no matter who's in charge of Georgia. So it is hard to see how relations can be worse than they are at the moment. So any change would be an improvement, but still there's such a long way to go that I don't think, again, I think it's important not to let our expectations run away with us.
And how closely were Chechens and other North Caucasians following the elections, and what should change and what should remain the same in Georgia's policy on the North Caucasus?
I actually think Georgia's policy towards the North Caucasus has been very well thought out and very good. Initially, was very dubious about this policy of giving visa-free travel to residents of the North Caucasus republics, and I was very pleased when actually the government extended that to all Russian citizens. I think that was a very sensible policy, and I have many friends in Chechnya who now regularly come to Tbilisi to go shopping or just to hang out, because it's such a fun city and a lot more fun than Grozny, of course. So I think that Saakashvili's policy towards the Chechens and towards the Circassians has won him a lot of friends in the North Caucasus, and I think it would be a very good idea if the new government maintained that policy unchanged and just tried to maintain this policy of creating Tbilisi as it were, capital of the whole Caucasus. I think this is only good for Georgia if it will lead to more trade between Russia and Georgia, because essentially it's trade between countries that will bring sort of lasting peace and lasting relations. So, I mean, I think people in Chechnya, people in Nalchik have been watching this election very closely. I think purely out of interest. If you look at and I think people are just sort of fascinated by what's going on. It's sort of inconceivable that something like this could happen in Chechnya, for example. And so I think it's just nice for them to see something a bit different and maybe a little bit of hope that they can have something similar one day too.
ეს იყო Oliver Bullough, ინგლისელი მწერალი და ასევე ექსპერტი კავკასიის საკითხებში.